Pennovation Works Showcase. We're excited to have everyone in person again to celebrate innovation here at the University of Pennsylvania and throughout the Philadelphia region. And so, I know we've been away for some time. So I know as the Managing Director of Pennovation Works, I'm excited today to see all of you. My name is Henderson, and I've been in the role now for about 3 months. So again, this is my foray and my entree into meeting all of you. So again, welcome to Pennovation Works, welcome to the showcase, and I'm going to turn the program over to our organizers, the Executive Director, Michael Poisel, Executive Director of PCI Ventures. Thanks.
Thank you, Danita. We're so excited to have Danita here and to join the team. We've had a great influx of new team members this year with the 76 board team replenishing itself. Such a great group of people, and I'm so privileged to get to work with an incredible team. I wanted to start things, though, with the sadness that we're losing one of our team members tonight, which is Mike Dishowitz. Mike has been with us for the last 8 years. He's been my partner in crime for so many of those years. Helped me in so many ways, and really did incredible things to develop our programs, come up with new programs, and he's going to be sadly missed, and I just can't believe he's leaving, so it's going to be really hard. But moving on from where we were to where we're going, we're welcoming a new team member this week. Melissa and Lopez is joining us. This is their first week, so thankfully Mike waited long enough until I had a new person coming before he left. But it's great to have Melissa here, and she comes from Yale, so we're happy to poach somebody great from them. So I just want to spend a few minutes and we'll move on with the rest of the program, but this has been such an incredible year for us at Penn, at Pennovation, and at PCI Ventures. Whereas the world is at a very challenging time, and the economy is at a challenging time, we have just had such an incredible year, and it's been so exciting for us as a team. It started the year with us hosting a Romanian pediatric surgeon as a fellow on our team, which was incredible. She stayed with us for 5 weeks, and I actually had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to follow her to Romania and spend a couple weeks over there, which was incredible. But beyond that, for our companies, we've had so many companies have success this year. Company Peroxitech raised $25 million, Interbase raised $40 million, Pharma raised $1 million, Exxon raised $5 million, and most recently, our biggest of the year, Charisma just announced a reverse merger of $160 million. So it's just been so fantastic, and the list of the rest of the companies, FloBio, Neuralure, Chip, Hardware, VitalStar, FloBio, VasoWatch, Linnaeus, and Osteo, also all raised money this year. So it's just been incredible how much we've been able to do. In addition to raising money, we're so excited for this year because we've had 3 products achieve FDA approval. And this is such a big step for us as an organization. So 2 of those come from a company called Serpex, which is a steerable needle, which is absolutely incredible technology. It's going to help so many people. And the other one is from a company called Onacor. And I just want to pause for a minute to just tell an interesting story there, because the device is to help retrieve cardiac devices that are installed improperly. So today, the state of the art is that if a device is installed improperly, they have to open up the chest to get it back out again. This device allows them to now go up through an artery, be able to reach the device, pull it back, and crunch it into a funnel, and pull it back out again. Now, while that's a great and a huge accomplishment, it's a limited market. How many times is that going to happen a year? And so there was a lot of people that were reticent about meeting the company's prospects because it's now a limited market. Well, they get the device on the market, we get FDA approval, they start selling it, and it turns out that the device can also be used to treat cancerous tumors inside the heart. Nobody could have saw that, but those tumors today really are inoperable for most patients. And now, because of this device, they're going to be able to be treated, and people are going to be able to be saved. it's so rewarding to be a part of something like that and to see a device that's going to be able to save people's lives. And I'm so happy for the team and all the hard work it took them to get there. So, it's just a few examples of the great year that we've had and looking forward to the great year that we're going to have next year. And I really appreciate everybody coming out. I know for a lot of people this might be one of the first events they've had in public and seeing people again. I'm so happy to see faces I haven't seen in years coming out for us tonight. So thank you all for coming, and we're really happy to have you here. The next step in the program is we're going to have Gavin come and talk about Ghost, right? Gavin. There's Gavin. So this is such a great start for us. We are so privileged to have Gavin here tonight. He started with us when he was still a grad student and came up with this idea for the company, him and Gavin. And to see where they've gone to where they are today, to being, in my mind, the world leader in robotic dogs, what they've been able to accomplish. And I'm so happy to have Gavin here, so appreciative he's willing to take his time. Here's what's up. Thank you, Gavin.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Michael. This will be an interesting remote and microphone and slides. Getting the full AV experience. Yeah, hi everybody. So my name is Gavin Kenneally. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Ghost Robotics. So as Michael said, we actually started the company 2 floors up from here at our desks. We are picking myself for both PhD students and Dan Kodacek's lab here at Penn. We then, our former CEO, Jerri Ann, helped us spin out of the university, and then we went on to continue to grow the business. We're actually located all the way across the parking lot, so we still haven't gotten too far from our roots. So I'll go through the kind of story and really some of the challenges and really what we've learned from our customers working in Ghost Robotics. So just to give you a sense, so this is a Vision 16 QUGV, so quadrupedal unmanned ground vehicle. These robots are actively in testing today within US and allied government customers, as well as some industrial applications as well. We're actually the #1 seller of Lego robots into government customers internationally. So just a little bit of introduction. What is the robot able to do? So here's a video, so you can see the robot's able to climb stairs. It actually uses an onboard perception system to do this. It can climb hills and go over rough terrain. It's also able to run at up to 2.5 meters per second. And then the most important thing is the robot is very durable and robust. So if it flips over or if it gets kicked over, it's able to get back up when it's upside down. And then can actually keep moving when it's upside down, or the robot can flip itself back over as long as it's able to keep making progress. So we deploy these robots, as I mentioned, with the Air Force, with the Special Forces, with the Army as well in the US, as well as government customers. This is actually a deployment at Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida, where the robots are doing autonomous security patrol runs. So they do patrol runs, taking thermal video, and then when the battery gets low, they autonomously go back and sit down and charge. So how do we get to this deployed solution from late 2015 when we were upstairs, 2 floors up? So it started with actually a much smaller robot that myself and others wrote some papers on called Minotaur. The real innovation there was really understanding we could take a lot of the complexity out of the software and really transition and make the robot move the complexity out of the hardware, moving the complexity from the hardware to the software, greatly simplifying things, reducing the number of parts, and making the machines much more robust. So after that, we built this first prototype of a larger machine in the Q1 of 2018. We then continued to iterate very quickly. Another robot again the quarter after, another robot again the quarter after that. And then we iterated throughout the years, slowing down the pace of iteration a little bit until we got to our version 5.3 here. So over the course of those years, we were actually iterating very closely with our customers. So we could have just sat in our lab environments and kind of continued to think about what we think makes a good robot, but it was really helpful to actually do this with customers. We were really fortunate to have many customer partners So I'd like to go through kind of some of the focuses that we've highlighted with our customer partners. So the first one is, why a legged robot, right? We can have robots with wheels or tracks, those are much simpler to design. But the obvious thing is really the terrain. So it's amazing how difficult it is. As humans, we take a lot of this for granted. We just use our legs to move around and go wherever we need to go. Wheeled and tracked robots, obviously, if you have a road or something like that, wheels work great. But in unstructured environments, whether they're outdoor unstructured environments or indoors, looking at these stairs right here, for example, it really is much more helpful to have legs. So here's some examples of using with a legged robot really going over terrain that wouldn't be possible with wheels or tracks. So you can see it's able to walk up and down curves. It's also able, so you can see that's its perception system in the top right. So that's the robot's view of the world. It's actually what gets displayed on the tablet here. As it goes over stairs, curbs, steps, things like that, that little mat that it walks on, that's the robot's perception of reality. And then all the obstacles in the world are those red pillars. So that's kind of what the robot thinks. A continued focus of rough terrain is it's one thing when we're in a compound like this, but in the real world, rough terrain takes many different types of forms. So here's, for example, some ice. There's no way with any of the sensors on the robot that it could know that it's walking on ice compared to any other type of flat ground. So we built the robot with reflexes by actually having the motors be very back drivable and be able to feel through the motors directly. So you can see here, the robot actually stubs its feet a couple of times on some of the different rocks, but it's able to replan and kind of re-swing the feet. So as much as we built as intelligence into the perception system, at the end of the day, sometimes the sensors don't work, and you have to rely on a combination of the sensors and also just having the robot feel its way through the environment. We also did development on different gaits. So the gait is the way that the robot coordinates its legs to walk around. So you can see the pattern here is a little bit different than in the other videos. This is a crawl gait, which is very helpful for going over really rough terrain a little bit more slowly. And then you can also adjust the height. If you can imagine inspection or a security task where you need to kind of walk low and underneath something. The other lesson was robots to be useful in the real world, they need to be able to survive the elements. So we actually sealed the robot to IP67, which means that it's fully water and dust proof. So here it is actually quote unquote swimming. This is one of our partners built this jet drive for the robot. So with some very improvised flotation devices, you can see the robot kind of swimming on the surface. Here it is again. So the fact that the robot is fully waterproof made this behavior possible. We're working on a second iteration of this type of technology to get rid of that battery pack in those very improvised flotation devices. This is really helpful, not only as an illustration of kind of how sealed the robot is, but it really opens up kind of a whole world of environments of how you deploy the robot, right? You can release them off of boats for both government and industrial tasks. The next one is the modular design. So the way we built the robot, you can actually kind of see it here. There's just a few bolts that are required to actually take off the leg or remove the battery. So we built it in a really modular way so that we're able to have our customers do basic repairs. So it's not really sustainable if anytime something happens with the robot, if they have to ship a whole robot back, right, that's really not sustainable and they're not going to be able to continue to satisfy their missions. And so we built the robot, as you can see in this animation, so the whole thing kind of comes apart. So you can see not only the battery, the legs, but actually the front and rear sensor heads are all modularly replaceable in the field. The next lesson was really integration. So the robot itself is really a platform. As you can imagine, it's a device that's able to move sensors and other payloads around in the world. But it's really nothing until it's combined into some kind of solution. So different customers use different use cases and really have different challenges. But we made the robot as easy to integrate onto as possible. So you can see we have modular rails on the front. We have lots of connection points here for different sensors. You can plug in cameras, actually any kind of Ethernet, USB sensors onto the robot. The robot can also power things. So when you saw that the jet drive in the previous video, we're now working on integrating that to be powered directly from the robot. And then we also can even attach a robot arm on top of our robot, so things like opening doors or grabbing objects, these are all possible. Here you can see this is Tomahawk Robotics. That's the whole video. Where's the computer for this? Can I actually intervene slightly? I don't know how the timestamp got lost here. Yeah, let's Can you try and get it somewhere there-ish? Yeah, sorry, this is a long video. I just wanted to kind of highlight at the end. Basically, it's not worth watching the whole video. I can just describe what's going on here. It doesn't play. Building robots and doing demonstrations, you learn that technology is not always your friend. Things if they'll go wrong. If they can go wrong, they certainly will. We've certainly experienced that in the field a number of times. That's fine. Okay. Right. There was a video. Basically, the idea is that the robot needs payloads and it needs basically partnerships with the customer to understand what exactly we need the robot to do. And it can also pair very easily with other devices. So it's basically an IoT device that can be connected to the internet or to industrial radios or even LTE for full connectivity. So actually, I'd like to end by just giving you a brief demonstration of the robot itself. So I'll switch my props around a little bit here. So yeah, this is a Vision 60 legged robot. So you can actually see, so I'm going to turn on the obstacle avoidance. So you can see that the lights here are now blue. That means that the robot is using its sensors to walk around in the world. So for example, if I drive into myself, I can press forward on the joystick and it's actually stopping. You can see it sees me. I'm obviously 2 red cylinders. That's how I think of myself as well. So that's, sorry? Yeah. So it can, this is how it kind of sees the world. So you can see as we move and look at different obstacles, right, the robot is responding to the world. But the problem is, when you're walking through tall grass or running, as I showed in one of the videos, sometimes the world is kind of confusing, right? The top of the grass is somewhere, the bottom of the grass is somewhere else. So instead of having this really be a limitation for the robot, what we did instead is basically when the robot gets confused, and I can confuse it pretty easily now. So if I stick my foot here, come on. Of course, we need it to get confused. It doesn't. There it is. So there, that world was confusing enough to it. You can see that the blue lights turned green. So now it's in blind mode. So now the robot only relies on actually feeling through the motors. It directly feels the ground. And this is basically having it operate using its reflexes. So now I can obviously keep driving it around, and that all works. It will drive into me now, so I won't demonstrate that, but you can believe that it'll crash into me. But it also will actually continue to try and recover. So as you push it around, the robot is always trying to maintain its balance and maintain its stability. Then on board, it actually has 5 cameras all the way around. So it can see, there's 2 cameras in the front, cameras on the sides, cameras at the back, and then there's also integrated microphones and speakers. So things like if you want to know, was there broken glass somewhere? Do you need to communicate to somebody through the robot? You can actually use the microphones and speakers to communicate through the device. It also has lighting. You can see lights at the front, lights at the back. So it really did a lot of work understanding what the customers need out of the platform and really continuing to iterate with them. There's really lots of ongoing engineering development to iterate with them to really get to this platform where we've actually been able to start to have real-world impact by being able to send these robots into scenarios where you don't want to send humans for one reason or another. We've been integrating them with CBRN sensors, so that's chemical, biological, radiation, nuclear threat detection sensors. So things like nuclear inspection or if there's any toxic chemicals, things like that. When you think of these sensors, typically they're handheld devices. You look at them, you see a measurement of, oh, here's this very dangerous thing, and then you walk towards the danger as a first responder, right? There's something kind of counterintuitive about that.
So we've integrated these sensors onto the robot so it can do those types of responses in an automated way. So thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Gavin, for your presentation and demonstration. I'm really thrilled now to be able to present Jerri Ann, Thatcher, the CEO of FloBio, to present their journey and their story and example of a wonderfully progressing company out of our life sciences portfolio. Thank you, Bob. It was great to be here this evening, and maybe I don't know a robot, so it's a little bit different an approach, but I think it will give you a sense of, from a first-time CEO, how I view our journey so far, and more importantly, how I see our future. So, thanks to the team for the opportunity. And our premise for the company is all about precision diagnostics and really addressing bleeding risk and care decisions in emergency rooms. And this allows physicians to take a precision medicine approach that doesn't exist today, and they can help better manage patients who have blood clotting problems. And it all starts with compelling science, right? And we were founded in 2017 by Dr. Scott Diamond. He's an engineer out of the University of Pennsylvania. And it really was impressive when I first met him. More than 30 publications, 10 years plus of research, and $15 million plus in government grants to really extend this journey. And he also, with his co-inventor, worked with PCI Ventures to start a company, FloBio, and we're lucky to be joined by Dr. Jason Rossi. He is now lead researcher for our company. And as I said, it starts with cool science, right? And I was excited because it was something that had never been done before. It was very innovative, really breaking new ground, and really taking what happens in the body in terms of the blood clotting process. And we were putting it, and are putting it, on this disposable device. So doing that is pretty incredible, trying to duplicate what happens in the body. And now when you analyze flowing blood, certainly you can have real-time and accurate assessment of a patient's blood clotting status that can really guide decision-making. And although it starts with cool stuff and cool science, what we know is it means nothing if it doesn't resonate with clinicians. It has to have an economic benefit, a clinical benefit. It has to be an unmet need that is undeniable, and certainly it has to be sustainable and protectable. So as I decided to join the company in 2018, I was really excited about the prospect, and the opportunities really seemed unlimited based on Dr. Diamond's work. And we went to work, right, during 2018 and 2019, and it was a singular focus, really understanding the marketplace and talking to as many doctors as possible to see if what we were doing really resonated. And I'm proud to say that we continue to talk to clinicians to this day, and we obviously continue that practice as we move closer to FDA approval and commercialization. And I'm also proud to say over 110 clinicians to date, which you may not think is a lot, but it is when it was an N of 1 doing this, and now we've expanded to a team of 6. So that number will get bigger, and the valuable insights will be even more important to us. And in addition to talking to customers and building out the evidence, we also did a deep dive, right? So I was leveraging my business and my commercialization experience to really collect every piece of information that I could. I like to say converge to diverge. So I'm a real analytic, and I really enjoy digging down deep. And then the job is really putting the plan together, making sure you run up the right timelines, the right plan, and you need to understand what kind of money that you need to get to the end result. And I would say, even with a very lean team, I would put us up against any other company in terms of the level of thoughtfulness and the level of detail that we've put in our business so far. And we have been able to really advance the technology in a very meaningful and value-creating way. So
go back to 2019, we got our first money in the company. We ended the year strong, and Bob will tell you, I was on cloud 9. I didn't think anything could really stop our trajectory. We had hired a second employee, had an R&D plan. We had a footprint here at Pennovation. We actually started with a lab bench in the working space. We now have a FloBio lab, we have 4 benches, and we have a garage. So we have definitely expanded as we've moved over the last few years. And we also engage people like Mark Humpel and Gary Fees and Dr. Jason Rossi to really help us during this early time to shape our vision. And you know, in 2020, we, again, we were really well positioned to do our tech transfer and to work with our founder in his lab at Penn to do the experimental work that we needed to do. So all things were going great. And then ready, set, COVID. And I know this isn't unique to FloBio, but it hurts just as much. It really turned us upside down, especially, and then have 2 people and really trying to put advisors together and getting feedback. And you know, we really, Scott's lab was closed, the university was closed, and we were left to figure this out on our own. And I'm really proud to say we made the pivot. Obviously with the help of Bob and the team, who were always a support, the people at Pennovation, Kirsten, being able to do phlebotomy in the COVID days. So a lot of help from a lot of family here. But we did have to rethink, how are we going to operate in these uncertain times? What could we really realistically accomplish in 2020? And then finally, how are we going to engage investors in a way that we could put a positive spin on things and really show them the reality of our situation without hurting our chances, obviously, of investment. And I'll say, despite these hiccups that were unforeseeable, to this day, we continue to make significant progress. You can see the breadboard that came out of Dr. Diamond's lab, and you can see our progression. And right now, we have a video by our table where we do a research-use-only prototype, and we have been able to demonstrate technical feasibility as well as clinical feasibility. And I'm proud to say we have a clear vision on where we want to get to. And it's all about the funding and the time that it takes to get to the end point. And I will say fundraising is a marathon. And sometimes on certain days, I think it's a vicious cycle. You need money to generate the compelling data and to move your business forward. But at the end of the day, you also need compelling data and progress to raise money. So, you know, we keep working the plan, and I think that's my biggest lesson. You have to be persistent. You have to build those relationships, and it will come. Now, over the last 3 years, I will say that we have been very strategic and very successful to fill those funding needs. We have over $2.5 million in non-dilutive grants to date. And although the caveat is, I don't believe you can develop a product and reach commercialization with grant funding. It's just not efficient to get to market and to do all the things you need to do. But it certainly does give us the breathing room and the runway that we need to find great investors in our company. And so I'm an optimist. I believe that things happen for a reason, and good things come to those who wait. So we have had some very good traction this year. We have had traction with corporate strategics. We are having great discussions and introductions to investors. And in fact, we're building advocates, which I have to say, they say refer you into an investor or a company. No, we need advocates, really, that believe in the company and the people in the company. And so finally, you know, we're ending the year strong. I'm really happy with where we are as a company. We've made major progress, and by the end of the year, you can see some of the key milestones that we will achieve. And I think my parting thought is it takes a team, and I think that's the blinding glimpse of the obvious, but this is a hard road being an entrepreneur. And having the right team of people is incredibly important, and I'm proud to say that we have 6 members to our team to date who have been incredible drivers to this business. So I want to publicly thank them very much for everything they've done and more that's going to come. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Jerri Ann, for presenting your journey. Now, I'm really excited like to close out the program this evening by presenting the CEO of the Year Award. The CEO of the Year Award goes to a CEO who has made tremendous progress on building the company, building the team, fundraising, being able to support the vision and mission that the company came out with on the outset, and really embodies what PCI Ventures represents as well. And so it's my honor and privilege this year to present that award to Jerri Ann Thatcher, the CEO of I've had the honor of working with Jerri Ann for about 3.5 years now, and I've admired and very much appreciate her perseverance and dedication to the team, to building this company in an incredibly challenging space, which is diagnostics. I really look forward to everything I get to do with her next. So please congratulate her again as CEO of the Year.
So thanks everyone. A great evening for everyone. And so I think what we'll do now is go back to networking for a while. Right? And everybody enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you so much for coming. It's such a great night. Thank you.